Here now the 2-2. A swing and a drive to center field. That one's got a chance.
Okay, what do we have here? Hello there, baseball fans. Who do you think is going to be on the cover of MLB the Show 21? It was around this time last year that Javi Baez was announced, and to be honest, Baez was a bit of a surprise. Like, he's an unreal baseball player, but getting the cover after Griffey, Aaron Judge, and Bryce Harper, it was kind of random. It makes me feel like thinking about next year's cover is kind of pointless. There are a bunch of good choices, but like, what if they choose someone random? Who do you think it'll be? I guess their strategy is to pick a player in a big market or a player who has a big market. Everyone knows Griffey. You can't go wrong with a Yankee, and Bryce Harper has been popular since he was like 16. He won Rookie of the Year, an MVP, and then signed a massive deal to go rock some Philly pinstripes. I wouldn't think Baez was next on the list, but playing shortstop for the Chicago Cubs is clearly a marketable title whether or not others were playing better baseball. Like you telling me Nolan Arenado isn't good enough to be on the cover of MLB 21? He might be the best third baseman in like the last 20 years, but I get a feeling having a Colorado Rockies player on the cover doesn't produce the predictions San Diego Studios is looking for. Decisions like these are made with math in mind. Or a better way of putting it is like, any suggestion for a cover athlete has to be supported by math. Any marketing decision ever has to be supported by math. It doesn't matter how any idea sounds. You can plug the idea into established formulas used in market research, and you live and die by the calculated results. It's why there is less risk in marketing than you would assume. Sure, people come up with ideas all the time, but ideas that go wrong do not get blamed on humans. It's based on research that is hard to deny the validity of. It's why Patrick Kane and Jonathan Toews got the cover of NHL within years of each other. Chicago Blackhawks are a popular team. I can't tell you why a Toronto Maple Leaf or a Montreal Canadian hasn't had the cover more often, but I'm telling you that people at EA have a reason for it. Whatever research they do has told them that their choices will lead to a better reaction than any other alternative. So do I think DJ LeMahieu or Freddie Freeman will get the cover? No, for the same reason Joey Votto never got the cover. There's clearly some mixture of talent and public interest that needs to be satisfied. Matt Chapman and Matt Olson are amazing players, but don't you also get the feeling that they lack the mystical mass appeal? That's not my opinion, I could be wrong, but based on previous cover athletes, doesn't it feel like it's kind of the truth? I'm not claiming to have my finger on the pulse of baseball economics, but there are a few players that wouldn't surprise me if they were announced as the cover athlete for next year's game. I suck at Photoshop. Don't tell me I suck at Photoshop. I know I do. I cannot make what I want, so I'm pretty happy with whatever I manage to make. You know what I mean? I'm just happy to be part of the team, and there's no way what I make is somehow worse than what EA has done this year. They weren't able to do the photo shoots they wanted because COVID. What kind of an excuse is that? You're really understanding of bad work because they have a reason for it? You're telling me it's okay to make something ugly as long as you do it on purpose? Like, if you don't think EA's covers are an abomination, then you have no right to hate on any piece of art you see on the internet. If I can avoid criticism for my shit Photoshop by telling you that I made it bad on purpose, then let's just start with that so you can avoid the distraction. In no particular order, let's start with Cody Bellinger. This dude separated his shoulder selling too hard after a home run in Game 7. Was it Game 7 or was it Game 1 of the World Series? Either way, it's the coolest thing ever. He looks like such a normal person, except somehow he is really good at baseball. His swing isn't exactly smooth, it's powerful and explosive. This guy turns his hips and slaps the ball at such a ridiculous speed, launching home runs with the flexibility of his body rather than brute strength. He can jump high enough to rob a home run, and he can throw accurately from long distances too. Literally unreal. He isn't the only guy that can do all those things, but he is one of the guys that can do all those things. He plays in LA, and you can't deny how much money that city can produce. I don't know, I don't think it would be odd to see Bellinger as a cover athlete for a baseball video game. Okay, what about Mike Trout? He is literally the best baseball player to be born in the last 50 years. Do you know how many amazing baseball players there have been? There are plenty of men with the appearances of gods, and this guy is better than them. Mike Trout is better than the best, and no one really cares. Obviously people care. Trout gets a lot of love online, but for some reason, being so consistent for so long can leave you in this weird limbo where people expect greatness without realizing the historical significance of it. Maybe it's because Trout's team has never had success in the playoffs. I mean, that could very well be the reason, but it's not like cover athletes are reserved for the best player on the best team. Like, is he too good for the cover? Is that possible? Is there a reason why Sidney Crosby has never been on the cover of NHL, but Alex Ovechkin has been on it twice now? Do you understand how good Ovechkin is? He's fucking amazing at hockey. Do you know how good Sidney Crosby is? He is somehow better than Ovechkin. Crosby has won 3 championships. He is a past first, past second, and past third playmaker who is going to end up with like 600 goals. Do you know how good you have to be to score goals in the NHL when it's not what you're trying to do? In hockey, you get a point by either scoring a goal or getting an assist. Wayne Gretzky has more assists than anyone has goals and assists. Wayne Gretzky also has the most goals of all time. It is the coolest stat. Shout out to the Great One. Imagine your nickname being the Great One and it wasn't hyperbole. Yeah, anyways, quick Gretzky tangent. Mike Trout is putting up a career that hasn't been done in so long. He's able to consistently be better than pitchers of the most competitive era in baseball history. Anyone can gush about Mike Trout. Is he gonna get a cover ever? I don't know. What do you think? What's up with this California trend that I'm onto? I feel like it's a coincidence, but maybe it's not. I don't know. What about Fernando Tatis Jr. getting on the cover? Why has his presence been so intrusive recently? Does it really have anything to do with him being in San Diego? I get the feeling that if he played for the Mets, he would be an even bigger star, but nonetheless, what he did this season makes him a prototypical candidate for a cover athlete. The guy is a tall shortstop who literally leads his team to wins. Down 6-2 early in a playoff elimination game, this is a great player who actually plays great enough to force his team to win. You only get a few at-bats to influence a game as an individual. Hitting a home run in those at-bats is literally the definition of clutch. As video game as you can get. The Padres were a bit of a joke for a lot of years. Tatis has made me like the Padres because of his ability to actually get it done when time was running out. Losing to a better team in baseball doesn't make you a bad player. Being the reason your team wins a game does make you some sort of legend. It feels like most people would understand if he was chosen as next year's athlete. I swear it's a coincidence, but my last choice is still in California. Back to LA and Mookie Betts. This is a guy who had a pretty crazy career with another big market team. Mookie might have been the best player on the Red Sox. All of a sudden Boston doesn't want to pay him and he goes on to be like the best player on the Dodgers. The Dodgers are stacked, but somehow Mookie still finds a way to stand out. Did you see how high he jumped to make that catch? Which one? Yeah, exactly. This dude leaps a lot and actually makes the plays. It's one thing to be blessed with the opportunity for a cool catch. It's another thing to actually pull it off and remind everyone that you're actually really good, and that's why they were willing to pay you $300 million over the next 10 years. Mookie isn't a big guy. Why does that not matter for him? Anyone who can be successful without monster genetics is a hero amongst men. A lot of people have at least some sort of disconnect to the craziest athletes on the planet. Like, a lot of the best can do things that regular people clearly cannot do. Why would you ever compare yourself to Anthony Davis or Zion Williamson? Do you look anything like Anthony Davis or Zion Williamson? It is so obvious they are built differently. Mookie looks like a regular dude, and I think his success is that much cooler to watch. It feels like something in his soul causes him to be the best, rather than his overpowering body being the catalyst. I suck at Photoshop, but it would be a pretty reasonable expectation to see Mookie Betts as the cover athlete for MLB the Show 21. I'm not saying someone like Ronald Acuna Jr. isn't going to get the cover one year, but I am saying that no matter how good Adley Rutschman actually is, I don't think a Baltimore Oriole will get a cover of a modern day baseball video game. Shout out to Cal Ripken Jr. For the record, strange things have happened before. Joe Mauer was on the cover 2 years in a row. Put some respect on that man's name. Who is going to be on the cover next year? Am I missing something? What are you thinking? Let me know, and until next time, later days.